G.
Wow, we got like all new features on the StreamYard.
We do?
Yeah, it's super cool. I don't
What
know
can we do
any of
now?
them I have no clue.
Can we make can you make me look like a kitty?
We need filters.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, somebody will protect me from. Never mind. No.
Welcome, traders.
Hi.
We are back.
Hello.
Everything's late. Nobody dies.
That's
episode
true.
number 78.
78.
78.
That sounds lucky.
This is going to be our breakout episode.
This is the one, man. This is the one where we're going to hit 1,000 subscribers. Okay, 10 subscribers.
I'll take an extra 2.
Okay, 2 subscribers.
2 more.
There
Just
you go.
2
man.
more.
Yes.
Maybe one of those guys begging for subs on the YouTubes.
If you guys sub, then I'll have.
I'll go Yeti hunting.
Well, if you guys sub to this, I'll make sure Eric and I both keep our shirts on for the entire podcast. That should get some people subbing.
So it's been a hell of a month. September.
Oh my god.
I was not expecting that.
Do you remember?
Oh man. So Kat got the new job, AFSP, which is American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. A great and noble cause. But September is.
Would you say noble in a minute? That would have been a good.
Oh, that would have been a perfect segue. Remember the word noble.
I was waiting. Jeez, man.
So September is Suicide Awareness Month. So all month we've been to St. George and back. We've been to Price and back.
Hopping. You've been to COVID and back.
Been to COVID and back. No, the COVID thing. So I've got long COVID. We found out from when I had it like 3 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's just a chronic fatigue. I feel like I need to take a nap every afternoon. I should be taking a nap right now.
I think you might just be old.
I could go either way from the symptoms, but kind of bizarre.
Fair enough. Okay.
So I have actually not had a chance to even stop in to the
I've been here like weeks.
It's been 3 weeks since I've even been able to stop in.
Eric's always late and nobody dying.
So a huge stack in my hold.
Got cool pressing stuff.
Gonna catch up on Ice Cream Man when I get home.
There you go.
Brilliant.
Still so good, man. That is still one of my favorite books.
It's great. God, so like good, I really think that the industry is just rocking out. Not only indies, because there's a lot of good indie stuff out there, but that indie horror is just.
Oh man, it's great.
And I don't think a lot of people are saying, time of the year, spooky season, whatever.
It's not that.
I don't think so.
I think right now people are paying attention to it because it's October. We got some scary stuff, and it's like, man, that's not the whole thing. There's just quality stuff coming out right now.
Right.
Man. Rodney Barnes had 2 books out this week. Was it 20? Oh God, was it 20 Degrees After Rigor? I believe.
Okay.
And then the other one is Johnny Thunderstick. No, Johnny Gatlin. That's it.
Johnny
Thunderstick. That was my old dancing name.
That's how you made yourself there.
There you go. And yes, that's how I made it through community college for 6 months. But no, Johnny Gatlin is super cool, man. If you like westerns and horror, grab it.
I do like westerns
because it's a western horror.
All right.
It's kind of a Saint of Killers sort of character. Right. Super badass cowboy dude, and he's stuck in hell, and then he gets hired to kill Satan.
Okay.
So he's coming after me.
That's cool.
Cool. Yeah, really, really good. The other one that he wrote this week, I have not read yet. I'm not going to read that tonight. I'm going to a concert tonight. I'll read it tomorrow. God, man, what else did I read this week? Oh, well, yeah. Cruel Universe, which just continues to be good.
Yeah.
I'm shocked at it's great quality first off, but I'm shocked that the sci-fi one I like more than the horror one. Because I'm not a sci-fi guy, I'm a horror guy, and there's plenty of horror in Cruel Universe.
Yeah.
But it's sci-fi horror.
So when you look back on like the pre-code stuff, were you more into the pre-code horror as opposed to
100%,
that sci-fi type stuff that they did?
Yeah. And so I loved like the horror and the crime stuff. Like the crime does not pay, and stuff like
Right.
that. And I've got a bunch of that stuff, a bunch of those old Golden Age ones and stuff. I love that. Got a bunch of old Golden Age and Silver Age horror stuff, like pre-code stuff, which I freaking love. I wish I would have held on to something else, because we did have a collection a long time ago before I decided I was going to collect it, and had a whole bunch of Tales from the Crypt stuff.
So hard to get a hold of, too.
I know, and ever since then I'm like, no, I really should get it because there's not that many.
It kind of makes me wonder if maybe this is the way that collecting's going, right? That maybe instead of the bro collectors out there getting a hot book of the month and all that kind of stuff, we're seeing kind of a rotate in and out of these niche. It'll be horror right now, and then in a couple months, maybe it'll be
probably sci-fi again,
street level heroes, type thing.
It's the crime stuff kind of came back a little bit with Brubaker, but even Brubaker and Phillips, who are like known for the crime stuff and Criminal and Fatale and stuff like that. I mean, Fatale was also horror, like Lovecraftian crime stuff, but even his last book, Houses of the Unholy, that was pure straight out horror. That was not a crime book. Right. That was, it was set in the 80s, and they were talking about satanic panic and all that kind of stuff, and even that, like, he's shifted over to more horror now. I feel, it's kind of the thing right now. But yeah, it's been awesome. There's like Army of Darkness Forever, which is awesome, which Tony Fleetwood is writing.
Tony's doing a great job.
One more issue is all on that.
I'm really excited about that book because it shows that Tony is a lot more than that one trick pony,
Right? Yeah.
Like everybody thought of him as there's cutesy stray dog
it's
guy.
That guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot more to him, a lot darker material.
Obviously. Oh yeah. He's got more range than you think, because what did he used to do? My Little Pony,
right?
Now, and then did this, which was cute but super dark, and then Local Man, which is like 90s throwback stuff with Tim. With Tim Seeley, that sounded all like Tim, my pal Tim.
Been hanging out with Tim.
Well, unfortunately, we are, but no, it's no, it's and Tim's done a lot of horror stuff as well, and I think those two getting together and doing, it's not my style of book. The 90s throwback stuff is not exactly my thing, but those two getting together and working together when they've both done so much horror and so much cool dark stuff, I think is a great match. And that's the other thing that's crazy. It's like all the throwback stuff.
And we are seeing a lot of that right now.
Yeah. Who said hi?
Damien says hi.
Hey,
how's it going, Damien? One of our friends from the Great White North, Washington.
The Great White North, Washington?
Yeah. Is that right? No, not Washington. Portland. Portland Comic Crew.
Portland. There you go. Don't confuse Oregon and Washington.
But they're like right next to each other. Like,
well, so are we, but we're not the same.
Close, I've been told.
You don't have any hair.
And you're not handsome. Oh.
Well, wait a minute. No, that's what I meant to say. You're not handsome. No, that's right.
But yeah, the throwback stuff, Local Man is a great example of that. And the stuff that...
Blood Squad 7 is another image one that they're doing this totally throwback stuff.
All the stuff by Marvin Wynn and Paige Alfred and that kind of stuff that they're putting out right now.
Oh, by the way, the Edge funded.
Nice.
The Kickstarter funded.
Very nice.
Yep. So we'll have our copies probably fairly soon.
Very cool.
So we will have the trades 1 and 2 for the Edge in store from the Kickstarter soon.
Very nice.
Yeah. I was very happy to see that funded.
Yeah.
I was just talking to somebody today about Kickstarter stuff, and I'm like, I typically don't, I really don't like doing Kickstarter stuff, because it's so undependable. If you're, this guy today was like, well, I did this Kickstarter like a year and a half ago. I still haven't seen anything. And I'm like, yeah, that's more common than not.
Yeah.
But I had no problem backing Marvin because I know that he's going to follow through and do it.
Damien
plus it's a cool local, or not local, cool indie guy.
Yeah.
we need to push this stuff.
Damien's saying 90 kids are in their early 40s now with more money to spend, which is very true.
Yep, that's true.
Very true. And Oregon and Washington, pretty dang similar. They are pretty darn similar.
Yeah. God, I wish you could get weed in either one. Oh, no, wait. I wish you could get coke. No, wait. Actually, let's move on.
What you meant to say is you wish Utah was a little more similar.
Yeah, I got my green card. It's fine.
Some days. Marvin, we're just
talking about you, man. In a good way. It's okay.
Mostly a good way.
Oh, so Kat is working at the suicide prevention.
Yeah.
That's like a good cause. What would you call that?
Oh, that's a very noble cause.
It is. Oh, speaking of noble, so there. Damn, you are smooth. You're like butter.
I am.
Just speaking of noble, Noble Entertainment. It was a local publisher.
Right.
Got a whole bunch of their stuff. They work with like a whole lot of creators. They got a whole line of comics. They're doing a really cool thing. There's a publisher in England. And they're going to publish 2 of Noble's books, and then Noble is going to publish 2 of their books. And on the same day, they're having a signing in England and right here where we're sitting. So the guys from Noble will be here debuting 2 way out of town books,
right?
On October 19th, Saturday.
That's very cool.
Yeah. We've also got a really cool thing going on for Halloween, which we'll talk about next time.
All right.
But yeah, come on by Saturday the 19th, 11 o'clock, until they get tired of being here, which could be 11:05, depending on what kind of mood I'm in. But yeah, they're going to have a whole bunch of books that they're going to debut. They'll be here signing and talking about their company, and you can meet a bunch of great local guys. They've been in here quite a bit, bringing stuff in. They're good guys. And they're you can feel the excitement that they have for making comics.
Oh yeah.
Because when they come in and they're like, yeah, we went to this Comic-Con and whatever, and they said they found my book at your store, and they're just like, yeah, we're at the store, and then they said it, and then they're such nice guys, man. They're super excited and enthusiastic about comics. This is going to they've been to Comic-Con. This will actually be their first in-store appearance.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
very nice.
Yeah, they're really great guys. So
yeah. Marvin, I'm sure he's speaking about the G.I. Joe that is up there. First comic he ever bought.
Yeah.
This one is double signed.
Yeah, that's right.
Because when I bought it had the Larry Hama signature that we weren't sure if it was legit.
He said it was, didn't he?
Oh yeah, it's legit.
Yeah.
It was legit. Yeah. So very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And great guy, Larry Hama, great guy. He's my friend now. I can call him Larry. I've actually talked to him a few times over Facebook trying to get him
as good friends as I am. I'll call him Hambone.
So one of the things that the readers wanted to, or the readers reading us right now, the viewers wanted to talk about, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. It's not your thing. It's not my thing. But it is prevalent in the industry right now. The
sexual proclivities of the Punisher.
The issue with CGC and the bending of comic books.
Oh man! Oh my god!
And that whole mess.
I have a theory on it.
What's that?
So, man, okay. They didn't do much. Like, they didn't have a lot. Their turnaround was really quick for a while, and they had a lot of controversy. They had a lot of stuff going on, and people stopped sending them in. So they announced that they would give dealers a little better discount to try and get us to send more in. And then convention season came along, and everybody's throwing stuff in from convention season, right?
Yeah.
Now that they're authenticating signatures too. So now if you get anything signed at a convention, you're like, I want this, authenticated. I want this to be a signature series. Which, not a CGC signature series, but an authenticated signature, which I think the labels look better, actually.
Yeah, I do too.
I think it'll go a lot better. So I think everybody's throwing the stuff in there now. and retailers are like, oh, I can get a little bit better discount, not a lot, it still costs too much, but throw these things in. I got a whole bunch of CGC stuff. I've been selling the crap out of them lately. And I think what happens is every time they get overwhelmed, their quality control goes to hell.
Yeah.
And I know they're overwhelmed because I've had stuff there for 2 months now.
Yeah. Their turnaround time's gotten to be
has gotten to be a joke, just like it was a few years ago.
Right.
Yeah. And part of me is like, wow, I'm actually glad it didn't come back that soon because then I have to sell them at half price during my sale.
But I've got 6 books in for authentication right now that have been there since they started doing authentication, and that's been 2 months now.
Yeah, and I've got 3 books that are being authenticated that have said like grading, encapsulation, blah blah, all that crap.
Yeah, forever.
For about a week now. They've been there for a little over a month. It's like, you can do this. Come on, man.
Yeah.
All you have somebody there. It's like, oh, looks like this looks like that. Okay, fine. I've got a reholder for that guy that keeps bringing this stuff. Hit an old X-Men that just need to be reslabbed. They checked it in on the 3rd of September.
Wow.
And it's their own slab.
Wow.
It's their slab, man. I don't know what they're doing. What do you have to do? You look at it and go, we graded this. Let's put it in another one.
I do think, and I will give a little bit of grace here, because I do think that they have to be careful with everything that's been going on.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about reholders, they have to make sure that there wasn't any funny business going on with that book from the time it left there to the time it came back, because that's where they've been getting into trouble.
Yeah.
And I would rather them do that due diligence.
Yeah.
I still am not sending a book in to get slabbed. And that's not my thing, but I do give them credit.
You almost did due diligence.
Anyway.
Diligence. I remember him. He had the Ring of Mordor.
I don't know how I made it through college, but
so did I. It took me about 10 minutes to walk through the other side.
But yeah, you got to give them some credit. I think obviously there's issues with quality control, and,
right.
And you're always going to have that when you get that many books in,
and
it's only going to be amplified by having more books in.
Yeah. It's like, I know anybody does this. When I get super rushed and I have tons of stuff to do, I looked at a book the other day that I graded and I was like, oh my God, what was this? No. I'm like, how did I overlook this?
Yeah.
And, and everybody makes mistakes. We're all, we're all human meat sacks. We screw up, but God, man, it's like, the more that, the more I have to do, the more I can accidentally let a couple of things slide here and there, or slip, not slide, but actually, whoops, that was a mistake.
Right.
But then you got to correct that mistake and deal with it and move on. Right. I feel like they keep making mistakes and they're not dealing with it and moving on. They're sending back damaged books. And a couple of those books that I pressed, or that you pressed, that I sent in, came back with bends.
Right.
And the grading took a hit. And you and I both know damn well those were not there when I sent them in.
And I have seen that quite a bit. And
they're not taking care of the books.
They were really good about it for a long time.
Yeah.
They really were. And it's only been the last 3 months or so that we've really seen a degradation in that quality. And I think you're right. I think you nailed it. Like, we're going through the big cons right now. You went from C2 to E2 to San Diego.
And then, I would say FanX, but there weren't really anybody there.
There's not
that anyone could find. But,
they apparently had CGC there. I didn't see them.
I was told they didn't.
Really?
Yeah.
We were told that they were going to be there. I didn't see them once.
Yeah.
But, what do
you get a CGC? A picture of Stormtrooper number 3?
Yeah.
Really. No.
I had
any books that are being sold, they're already slabbed, basically.
The ones that you would send to CGC are already slabbed.
Yeah.
There was only two dealers.
Yeah.
And great books. There were great books there, some fantastic stuff.
But nobody has any money to buy them.
The,
Like I said, after, when I had the last time I set up there, people come up and they're, oh, we just don't have any money left. I'm sorry. That's really neat, though. Thanks for letting us look.
yeah.
You're welcome, because that's how I make a living.
It's a different crowd.
It is a very different crowd.
And it's tough for what we were doing with the local guys which
I think is a great thing.
It's great exposure for them.
Yeah.
And they picked up new possible readers. They got out in front of people and stuff. The artist did really well, Jeff Hastings. I don't know if you're familiar with Jeff.
You know the name. I don't really know him.
Local artist trying to break into the business. Jeff, if you're watching, quit watching now for about 30 seconds. The best undiscovered comic book talent ever. And I got him to do a cover on my book for really a good price. So I don't want him to know that he's undervalued himself until after he does mine.
That was 30 seconds. Anyway, I'm not impressed either.
But
that's awesome. I mean,
he did well.
That's what a lot of that's for.
His talent is so good that he was just selling prints left and right, and he was priced right too, and that helps.
Well, I'm old enough. Sorry to interrupt, but I'm old enough to remember. My first Comic-Con I went to was 24 years ago in Chicago, right?
All right.
And I'm old enough to remember, and that there were fledgling companies. That was CrossGen's first year. And they brought all these people out. Like everybody that worked at CrossGen was there. Some big name talent, not quite as big as they became. Greg Land was nobody back then. He was there, like all these guys were there. And you would walk and you would see these artists like selling their books and talking to you about their books,
right.
And signing whatever you wanted, man, and doing, interacting and getting that exposure, at a big Comic-Con where you have thousands of people walking by and looking at your work. And if you get, one out of every 50 people that buy anything, how if you get one out of 100 people that walk by there that buy anything, you're doing well. And a lot of those people became really big creators.
Yeah.
I remember, years and years ago, man, where Black Mask was set up, and, Matt Rosenberg was one of the guys that was there, for his little books that he was doing with them.
Right.
And Rod Reese and Sean Von Gorman and all these guys.
Well, we were talking about James O'Barr earlier. I remember Salt Lake Comic-Con. Nobody knew who the hell he was.
Yeah.
It's him, and Mike Mignola was there that year as well. Nobody knew who the hell he was either.
Yeah. And that's how you get exposure. That's how you do this stuff. And you go and you have these people go by. And it's sad to me that there's not an artist alley of artists.
Right.
That's what it needs to be. It needs to be artists with books.
It is
promoting their comics.
Kind of disheartening when you're walking through Artist Alley and every third stall maybe is there's somebody that's an actual artist. Everything else is imported prints from Japan.
Yeah.
So, kind of bizarre. But
and that really sucks. That kind of bums me out to do. That's why I was like so damn happy when C2E2.
Yeah.
I
heard that they really stepped up the comic.
Oh God, they stepped that up. Yeah. And I was, walking around, I bumped into Garrett Gunn and bumped into Tim Seeley and bumped into Morgan Beam, well, I knew she was going to be there. I texted her, but a lot of these guys, and Ryan Otley and Derek were sitting next to each other, hanging out,
Nice.
Derek had a much bigger line than Ryan. Nobody knows him, but no, he and Derek Hunter were there, and there were all these people there, and you would just bump into them, and they were on Artist Alley,
right?
And they were writers and artists, and American Adolfo and Josh Blaylock and all these people.
That's super cool. So Damien says at Rose City, which just passed.
My condolences.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Artist Alley was only about 30% artists.
Yeah.
And when I was up
I hate to
there,
see that.
we got, hey, aggressively relaxing. What up?
Hello.
Howdy. So
I'm the cool one.
when I was last at Rose City, which was 2022, yeah, just a couple of years ago, 2-3 years ago, there were all kinds of comic book people up there.
Yeah,
and that's where I met Garrett Gunn
who?
for the first time. Yeah, that guy.
That guy.
So yeah, hey, so I would like to see comic book creators come back to conventions. It's kind of hard when they feel mistreated and slighted by the conventions that they go to.
Right. Yeah. They go to a Comic-Con and the comic creators get just like second tier citizens after, the actors and voice actors and novelists. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. It's called a Comic-Con.
I mean, I get that, John Rhys Davis is in the building and he was Gimli the dwarf and he was Sala in the Indiana Jones movie.
Well, that's fine, man.
He's a hero when you want to meet him and all that. But that in no way makes him any more valuable to pop culture in my eyes than Larry Hama.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were talking about this yesterday. The guy that, I was saying he was talking to Jan Zabar and Larry Hama walked by and he didn't even know that was who it was. He didn't even know he was there.
Right.
And he's like, that made me sad when Obar said, that's Larry Hama. He said, that made me sad that I didn't know he was there. I would have brought tons of stuff for him to sign. He is responsible for arguably the most important IP in pop culture history, like one of them.
Right. Oh, definitely.
Like this is like G.I. Joe is freaking huge.
Yeah.
I don't read it. I don't watch it. I don't really care about it, but I can't deny that it's enormous.
Well, and I had this conversation with Mr. Hama when he was here.
I thought it was Larry.
It's respect.
Okay.
But yeah, responsible for a whole generation of us going into the military. Like,
no, I don't know if I take responsibility.
That's what he said. That is pretty close. We discussed this earlier too. Damien saying, think table prices have been shooting up. Yeah, $6,500.
Yeah, I ain't paying that. I'm not going to make it back.
Yeah,
I'm not making that back.
But you know who is? The person selling Funko Pops, the person selling jackets and belts, and
yeah,
posters,
T-shirts. And you get those huge T-shirt booths. Those guys do a fortune. Man.
I mean, I'm really pleased that they had the foresight enough to say, here are some free spaces, bring in local, and they were really strict about it. They're like, they have to be local in Utah comic book creators. And we brought in some great young talent that nobody had ever seen and would never have an opportunity to walk onto a con floor like that.
Yeah.
So that was super cool. That
and
they
young talent like Doug. Young pup.
Yeah.
Just coming up in the comic business.
A little wet behind the ear, Doug Wagner.
He is. It's because I see him sometimes just standing in the parking lot when it's raining. That's
yeah.
I'm like, dude, get in here. But yeah, I think that's, and see, I don't want to be all negative about it because that's a great step, but that's all it is a step. Yeah. We need strides.
Well, and they're making commitments moving forward, and I think,
and I hope that what we were talking about, I hope they follow through on those commitments.
We're seeing those type of moves, forward motion coming from C2E2 certainly this year. I really kind of think it was Washington State SummerCon that kind of got everything going because he started just a comic book convention. That's all he wanted to be, was a comic book convention. And it's kind of taken off and grown, and like he now gets professional wrestlers in and stuff like that, but it is very much focused on comic books.
Yeah. And now, when going back to the celebrity stuff, and I agree, in this day and age, and it's always kind of been like this, like even that Chicago Con in 2000, and there were a couple of wrestlers there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, fine, whatever, man. Kevin Smith was there, but he was doing comics at that point, so it belonged.
Yeah.
But still primarily a filmmaker, and more celebrity than creator, But I do have to say, in this era of conventions, it is important. It'd be really tough to do. I still think you could do a pure Comic-Con. I still do. I still fully believe in that. But I think you almost have to have several celebrities there because it's synonymous with Comic-Cons now.
Right.
For better or worse. I think worse, but and I think San Diego started a lot of that with their movie stuff and, getting movie studios in and actors in and directors in and all that kind of stuff. And when I did go to San Diego years back, it was when Iron Man was coming out, so they did have Marvel Studios stuff there, and most of it did at least have something to do with comics, but they started getting more and more actors, more and more celebrities, and more wrestlers, and more this and that and whatever, and all that stuff, so I think that was primarily responsible for it, and then Wizard World took off with that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then they just made it a celebrity con.
Yeah.
Sure. and then all the other cons that popped up, like FanX and that kind of stuff, they were like, oh, well, this is how you do it. Obviously, I don't know what a Comic-Con is. This must be how you do it.
Well, and I think Comic-Con International had a large hand in that by saying you cannot be called a Comic-Con.
Well, when
they did that,
and that's a different story.
So now you have to call yourself something different. Yeah. You're not tied to comic books, and that's
even though they're still calling themselves Comic-Con.
Yeah.
FanX and Salt Lake Comic Convention.
Yeah. I don't know. There's some legalities there too.
Because comic book convention, you can say comic book convention.
Yeah, but Wasatch still uses Wasatch Comic Con. So
yeah, but they also didn't pretend that they were affiliated with San Diego.
Oh, I didn't realize. Yeah, I never thought Salt Lake was affiliated.
They really blurred the lines with that, with a lot of those early interviews.
Oh, maybe.
And then
I was more focused on getting my books into the building.
Yeah. But, and also Charles Roger didn't drive their car down there with their Wasatch Comic-Con sign and park it in front of San Diego.
I could see him doing it.
That is where they wouldn't do that. They're smart enough that they would not do something like that.
For sure.
It's okay to poke the bear, but you don't want to come up and slap it in the face, man. Poking the bear and punching the bear are very different things. You don't punch the bear. You can poke it, but anyway.
So now we ended up like 20 miles away from the original topic.
Yeah, what were we talking about? BGC.
The one cool thing, cool thing to come from the whole CG thing is the banana ad. I don't know if you've seen it.
What?
CBCS slabbed a banana peel and said something like the only bins inside our cases are meant to be there, like something like that.
Oh no,
it is brilliant. It is.
Oh
yeah,
that is funny.
It is hilarious. It is hilarious.
Oh, I gotta find that. I want to own it. I want to own a banana.
But
oh my god,
my takeaway from the whole thing is I'm not going to fault CGC for errors, especially when they're seemingly kind of owning their mistakes. Like they've done a really good job in the last year of owning up to their mistakes and working with the community and working with community leaders to correct things that have been done wrong, even when I don't feel they should step up to it. So if slabbing's your thing, I wouldn't let this deter you from getting a book slabbed.
It's still going to do the same thing. It's still going to put it in a slab and protect it.
Right. So
even if it doesn't have a grade on, and you put it in a slab, it's still going to protect it.
And if yours happens to be that 1 in 10,000 that gets a bend or has an extra notch in the spine, those things happen. You're sending your book off to a complete stranger to do something with it. But the next 100 that you send in aren't going to have that issue.
Right.
So, like, it hasn't shaken my faith in CGC. Not that I had any to begin with.
Well, it's hard to shake them.
I don't have a dog in the fight either. So.
I just want to go back to the FanX thing really quick.
Okay.
I know it sounded like I was talking shit on them. I'm not trying to do that.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to recognize that they did take that step forward. And I sincerely hope that they keep doing that, reaching out to the comic community, which has been their main problem.
Right.
Their main problem has been not taking care of locals.
Yeah.
I
mean, there've been, and it's not just FanX either. Like you.
Hear it's Emerald City did the same thing.
Yeah, you hear this
year
across the nation with all the large regional cons.
Yeah.
So you hear it a lot from Fan Expo, which I didn't know was not the same as FanX.
Yeah.
Fan Expo, completely different thing. So.
Yep. Keep talking for a sec. This sounds important. Sorry.
This sounds important.
Yeah.
All right. So that being said, if you are a person that gets your book slabbed, take them down to your comic shop, get them slabbed. It's really not the chances of one of those negative things happening to you are so few and far between that it's still a good, healthy risk to take. So that's kind of my take on it. Evan is chiming in here. Evan Black, creator of Wasatch Wonders. He was with me, helped out in the booth and helped. Actually, Evan was the one that came up with the idea, I think, originally to do the creators booth and help get all that rolling. It says, I personally thank Dan Farr for not for having a place for local and national creators. Yeah, and it's awesome that he did that. And I appreciate Evan for everything he's done as well. He brought a buddy of his that created a really cool role play game. I know that you're comics only, but I would really like to see that.
And that's exactly what I'm talking about. And, you need to keep doing this. You need to get back in good graces with the comic community.
Yeah.
I think it's very important.
So another thing I want to talk about, I love these things. So I think this is kind of the way of the future. And we spent some time talking with Doug Wagner over the weekend. I didn't do that. I know a guy can press those out for you. It was not.
Should have hoped so.
Was that a whole box?
A whole box of comics you just knocked over. Man. You have negative credit.
So DC has gone to these digest format books. I think that's a super cool idea.
I have mixed feelings with it. I think the price point is right on.
Yeah,
I think that price point is what the regular size one should be.
Yeah,
I don't think there should be a trade over $15. I don't think there should. So a $10 price point is perfect. Okay. As far as this is concerned, you see how much detail you lose, though.
Right.
You lose a lot of detail with these smaller pages, because they're already drawn on a page like this and shrunk down to this. Now you're shrinking that down to this, and it's a little. I think you lose some detail, depending on what book it is. Not as much in this, but Watchmen, I had a really hard time figuring out why that was a good idea. Because, there's a lot of dialogue in it, and the dialogue kind of squishes together a little bit. And I'm sorry, man, if you're over the age of 50, like I think you are,
a little bit,
it's tougher to read, man.
Right.
It's like, if you're over the age of anything and you wear glasses or, it's tougher to read. I think if they're going to do that, and this is where you ran into a problem, they should maybe expand the lettering just a little bit, but then that'll take up more of the panel, which they barely have enough room for anyway. Yeah. So it's kind of a catch-22, but I do fully agree with the price point. And that is, from what I've been told from people buying them, that's why they're buying them. Because it's $10 for a trade, and it's great. Right. I remember when Image did all their first trades for $10. And man, you can keep those things on the shelf. Yeah, they still do some of those, some of them like that. But you couldn't keep that stuff on the shelf at that price point.
Evan asks, are price points affected by post-COVID printing costs? I think obviously.
I think so.
Because it's just like anything else. Like, we're not going to see the cost of eggs go down to 98 cents ever again.
Yeah.
Like, once they know they can get more money, they're not going to lower the prices.
That's why I've been taking human growth hormone, and I've been trying to lay my own.
But my question is, like, this is Court of Owls. How many standard trades would make up this? Like, that's not one standard trade.
The Court of Owls was pretty big. That's 1 through 11. So that is okay. So this is Court of Owls and City of Owls.
Yeah,
this is 2 trades.
Right.
Yeah.
And how much is just a single?
Oh, like $15. So you're talking $10 as opposed to 30. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then this also has in the back more supplemental stuff that was in other books. So
which the other trades do as well.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's $30 as opposed to that. That's huge.
I mean, that's a 66% savings.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't have any, because I just have this that I reordered. I don't even have any because during the sale, people were picking this shit up for $5.
Yeah, and I've been collecting the floppies for Court of Owls because I wanted to read the story. But you, especially on a story like Court of Owls, the cheapest one is $5. Like, you're not going to find a single issue for less than $5 anywhere, unless you come in when it's on sale. and then you run the chance of not being able to get your hands on it.
Right. Yeah.
So, and this is just going to be a real easy way. I picked this up this morning. It's going to be a real easy way for me to sit down and start reading through it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great idea in theory. I think it should be just a touch bigger, just a little bit. I mean, we're talking maybe this much and this much, just to get that extra.
Just a few more pixels.
Yeah. Because if you shrink it down too much, especially with Capullo's art, you lose a lot of detail.
Right.
And with Watchmen, you didn't lose so much detail with the art, but you just lost so many words.
Oh yeah,
because it's a very verbose book, and there's a lot of things going on, man. And it's a 9-panel thing, so if your panels are this skinny, you've got, you got all these words jammed into this tiny little box, and you can't read them very well.
I'm really curious as to see how if we're going to see other companies follow suit with this.
I mean, Marvel sort of has with those little, their Mighty Masterworks, the little tiny trade paperbacks. I don't know if we got any of those up there or not, man. But I mean, they sort of have, and and DC's not the first one to do it. Like Heavy Metal,
right?
Although this one is $25, so that's a lot better deal.
Right.
But I mean, there's been some of this stuff that they've done, and they do like Marvel will do like World Digest size kind of all ages. You see a Spider-Woman one that's up there.
Oh yeah.
And I mean that they actually did that long before DC's done this, but this is a much better value.
Okay.
And I gotta say something about DC right now. There is, every time they do a publishing initiative, there's always a huge boost in interest, which is nice. I mean, that's great. It's New 52 came out, everybody wanted to get them. Then nobody bought them anymore. Rebirth came out, everybody wanted to get them. Then nobody bought them anymore.
Right.
Then they decided all they wanted to publish was Batman. Nobody bought them anymore.
Yeah.
But the DC All In, which I think is a stupid name for an initiative because that implies that they were just partially half-assing it before, partially in. But now we're all into this comic thing, man. And like the All In and the Absolute stuff, which again, I'm not sure if that's a good name for their Ultimate line. But whatever, it doesn't matter. The fact remains is there are a lot more people coming in being curious about that. You know, like, you know, I'll add this on there. Sure, yeah, put Absolute Power in my hold. I'll check it out. And, you know, hey, do you have any of those all ins? I'll take them one shot, you know. But I've got to say, I've never been happier unpacking DC books than I was this week. And no, it's not because Lunar finally figured out how to count. That's because they haven't. But you know what? DC Bullet's back.
Oh.
The old logo is back. It was
Nice.
on every single book this week. And usually, like the Marvel X-Men books, you know, with the logo on the front, laziest damn cover I've ever seen in my life. DC All In had one, and it was foil, and it had the DC Bullet on it, this big. And I was so happy to see that come back because that's the logo I remember. That's the logo I grew up with. You know, that's the logo when everything of consequence of DC Comics happened.
Right.
You know, Neil Adams on Batman, Crisis, Death in the Family, Death of Superman, you know, Impulse, Flash, Young Justice, all that stuff happened with that logo on. And that's always what I'm going to associate with DC. You know, not the one that looks like a sticker, not the one that looks like a laundry detergent logo, none of this garbage, you know, but that is what I remember. And that's what I love about DC. And even, you know, I mean, even though it may have tricked me into buying a couple of books from him, honestly, you know, because that Lobo book that came out a couple of weeks ago, I was like, I don't care about Lobo, man. The New 52 was garbage.
Yeah.
And I picked it up. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I read it. It was really good. That was a creative team mostly, but Creature Commandos, I picked that up this week.
That's really good.
David's doing it. David S. Moshton.
Okay.
You know, and he's all over the place right now, man. But you know, I know it's just mental up here, you know, but I see that logo and I get happier about DC. You know, they haven't changed their publishing strategy at all. They're still doing way too many variants. They're still doing way too many titles, way too much Batman.
Yeah.
You know, but just seeing that brings me back to looking at a DC book and not being frustrated, but actually having like some fondness for it. And it's all subliminal BS, but I still love it. I still love to see that. It's so cool. You know, it's you know, it's like when Marvel will do the Marvel box with Marvel Comics up there, and it'll be like a retro cover, a throwback cover, or whatever. I still look at that and I'm like, I love this shit.
Well, I think a lot of people are just burned out on the big two, and it would be nice if they start doing stuff like that to kind of re-energize it. And
you know, and
bring some talent back in.
And I think what they need to do again, trim down the titles, trim down the covers. You know, really like streamline what they're doing. Okay, and they need to concentrate, I think, on. And it's easier said than done, I understand, you know, but they need to concentrate on older readers and newer readers.
Right.
They need, you know, it's tough. That sweet spot is really tough to get to. But I feel like DC and Marvel, you know, they need to reevaluate what they're doing and take a look at what the comic industry is, what it was, and what it's going to be.
I think Marvel, the big mistake that Marvel is making is they're not cultivating readership.
No.
I think DC has always consistently kind of been geared towards that, just because for nothing else, they're geared towards an older, more mature thinking audience, whereas Marvel just wants the people that go see Avengers to pick up a comic book once in a while.
And you know, and that's, you know, I mean, that's kind of a problem I have with Marvel right now is the movies used to be advertising for the comics. Now the comics are advertising for movies.
Right.
Yeah. And you can see that every character you look at up there, everything that comes out, you know, what's our big variant initiative this week?
Well,
Doctor Doom variants.
I do think that with the success of Agatha, because it's doing pretty well, whether those other people want to admit it or not, it's doing pretty well.
I have not seen it yet, but I want to.
It's really good. I'm really enjoying
That's what
it.
I hear.
I'm
a big fan of witchcraft and Satanism,
but
wanton violence.
My fear with that is it has absolutely nothing to do with comic books. It is not tied to anything in the comic books whatsoever in any way.
That's what somebody was saying today. And you don't have to read the comics. You don't have to do anything. You can just watch it, and it's like more of a series about witchcraft than it is about comics.
It vaguely mentions the Witch's Road that we saw in the Scarlet Witch miniseries. That Scarlet Witch series. It vaguely kind of gives you the hint that this character may be Wiccan from the comic books, and I
don't know that yet. Thanks.
It uses Salem 7, but
okay, that's enough.
But it's completely detached from the comic books.
Yeah, and I actually think that's good.
I don't know if it's good or bad. I think that it needs to play itself out, but I can see some negative coming from that in the fact that, like, people pick up that Scarlet Witch comic book thinking, oh, I know what the Witch's Road is about. That's not what the Witch's Road is about.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think the reason I think it's good is because I think everything they've done recently has been too tied in with everything else. I like if this is a standalone series, with vague references, because that's what the MCU was in the beginning. Right. It was standalone stuff with vague references and little hints. Now they're all advertisements for the next movie. Yeah. Everything's a prequel to another prequel to another prequel to another prequel, where you have to watch 6 different TV series, which is another prequel to another prequel. And it's like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that got me burned out on. And that's another thing that's getting a lot of people burned out, is like, I don't have time to watch 23 movies and 13 TV series before I watch this 2-hour movie. I feel like that's good. I feel like it's bad because it's not driving comic sales.
Right.
I think what would solve that is, as they do the prevalent Marvel, cinematic universe, Marvel Comics, Marvel Entertainment, or however they call themselves now. I feel like that being very prevalent in the opening credits is good. And I think at the end, what they really need to do is put a comic book shop locator service ad.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Right before they run the credits.
Yeah.
Because, people will go to the end credits, and then if there's a scene, then they're done. Don't put it at the end. Put it right before the end credits. Whatever that is, black. Goes to black. To find out more about these characters, visit your local comic shop. Local comic shop locator, blah, 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 blah. What's wrong with that, man? That would only make them more money.
Yeah.
That would only make them more money. It's like, they trip over the dollars to make a dime. And it doesn't make sense the way they're doing it. And I think it is because there's not comic book people running these publishers anymore.
Yeah. Oh, that certainly has a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, watch WandaVision. Or watch
Agatha.
Really good. Really cool.
I'm going to.
All right. Are we caught up with everybody? We are.
Are we? Yeah.
All right. So I think we're back into the swing of things, and I don't really have.
We're swingers again.
Yeah. No, don't have anything planned. Gonna have a giant upside down pineapple right there. So we should not have any more hiatuses for the foreseeable future.
Mm-hmm.
And so that makes...
I've been here.
I know. It has just been such hell.
I've been here. You're just like, I have COVID. I can't come and sit by you. Whatever, man.
Well, my wife did have COVID. I never caught it this time, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, she was...
So it's just the effects of the... Yeah.
Mine is like some long-term effects from when I had it 3 years ago.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre.
Yeah. That sucks, man.
Yeah. So for all of you at home, I will start posting ideas in the Utah chat group, so you guys can give us ideas of what you want to hear.
Give us your idea
about. I'll throw that up there probably tomorrow. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. So that's what keeps us going here. If you have any questions for myself or Greg, put them down in the comments below. And make sure that when you're in there, you click the little bell icon and let you know whenever we're going to drop a new
That's
show.
the noise they make.
All right. See you later, traders. Bye. Bye, Greg. See you in another